Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 12th August 2021. Okay, let us see which are the important articles. Yes, these are the important articles. Am I audible clearly?
Yes sir. Yes sir.
Okay. Let us take overview of all these articles first. On page number 6, editorial page, first, need and planning of booster dose for COVID-19 disease. Okay, there is very good article written by experts in COVID-19 field, we can say that. So these two writers have been writing a very good articles since last 1 year, since the pandemic started. Okay. So whenever the articles are written by these experts, try to have follow up on that from science and technology perspective, COVID-19 science as well as the vaccine development. Okay, some technical aspects are explained very well related to COVID-19 science. Okay, so yes, need and planning for a booster dose they are talking about. So we have to understand the kind of vaccines that are available to different diseases and how this particular vaccine for COVID-19 is working and what is primary doses or priming doses and booster doses, meaning of that and need of such booster doses. Okay, so COVID-19 science GS3 paper, we can expect such kind of question. Then reopening of schools, yes, there is one editorial on page number 6. It is talking about some of the states have resorted to reopening of schools, especially for 10th and 12th standard students. So physical attendance of students will be there and learning in the classroom. So such reopening of school, how it is going to be beneficial when we have look at the learning loss that students had in last 1 year, at the same time the risk associated and way forward. Okay, then next article on page number 7, op-ed page, need of an national urban livelihood scheme similar to MG Naregas. So this has been in news since last 1 year. We have seen the reverse migration last year after, let's say, lockdown time period during first wave of COVID-19, and then this demand further aggravated for national urban livelihood scheme on the line of MG Naregas. So either this can be directly used or you can use this as a way forward whenever the question relates to social justice or governance aspect, especially for migrant laborers in urban, okay, poor people in urban areas. We'll understand the nitty-gritties involved related to such scheme here. Next, back channel talk was on before Balakot. The new book reveals. So the book that is written by the journalists which were involved in such back channel talks between India and Pakistan. Okay, so it has revealed some important facts which were not in public domain up till now. So as a, let's say, extra information regarding India-Pakistan bilateral relations, you should be aware about such developments. Okay, then 10 killed, 60 missing in Himachal landslip. So this development is also important, and because this is happening in same district, Kinnaur district of Himachal Pradesh. Earlier also in last week there was similar kind of landslip that happened in the Kinnaur district of Himachal Pradesh itself. Okay, so you need to be aware about such developments, such instances of landslides that are happening in Himalayan region as well as Western Ghats. You can mention that in your answer also. Okay, so this is related to GS1 geography part, GS3 paper disaster management part. Specifically for prelims examination, Kaziranga guards get satellite phones. On first page, this news is there. So this is good development. The Kaziranga guards will be using these satellite phones especially for anti-poaching purpose, at the same time for communication during the monsoon time period when the substantial area of Kaziranga, let's say, national park remains underwater. At the same time, in addition, protected areas of Assam will look into which are these protected areas, tiger reserves, national parks and all. Fine. Finally, practice prelims MCQs on today's current affairs. So first article, the importance of booster dose of plan ahead. Okay, so to plan ahead. why this particular article is written? First of all, we should understand that there are two types of vaccines. Okay, how does the immune system work on two types of vaccine? So what are these two types of vaccines? First is, we can say that replicating live vaccine, and the second one is non-replicating vaccines. So some of the examples you should be aware about such kind of vaccines. Replicating live vaccines like measles, rubella or chickenpox. Some of the examples of this type of vaccine, and this type of vaccine including COVID-19 vaccines. Okay, all COVID-19 vaccines fall under this category. Then tetanus, poliovirus vaccine is also there, hepatitis A, B. Okay, so all these vaccines come under non-replicating type of vaccines. Let us understand the basics about this. What are these replicating live vaccines? So replicating live vaccines are, let's say, such kind of vaccines where few thousands of live but attenuated means there we can say that strength is reduced, such kind of dose is injected, and then it leads to, we can say that, creation of immune system against them. This is replicating live vaccine. That means these vaccines, these, let's say, few thousands live virus, when they are attenuated, they leads to further replication in the body, and automatically the defense system is also built in the body for these types of vaccines. Okay, so that's why the word used, replicating live vaccines. Now here what happens is non-replicating vaccines. In this only we can say that the antigen similar to the virus, this antigen is introduced in your body in the initial doses, and then there are, after some period of time, there is need of booster dose. There is need of booster dose, where what happens is this initial dose acts as a priming dose. Okay, it makes aware the defense system or immune system of the body that such kind of antigen exists. So automatically the antibodies are created in the body. Okay, so antibody producing cells are created in the body against such antigen. Now what happens after some period of time, after 2-3 months or 6 months, those antibody producing cells die out, and therefore the immunity wanes. Okay, and that's why the second dose, that is booster dose, is required. Now such kind of booster dose, especially after 6 months to 1 year time period, after giving priming doses, such kind of booster dose will create long-term immunity. Okay, so at the same time it will also boost or kickstart the T cells, memory T cells or T cell immunity. Now this is also important. The basics about that you should be aware. So here in COVID-19 vaccines, all types of COVID-19 vaccines, at present we are giving primary doses. So first and second dose that we are receiving at present, they are priming doses. Okay, they are priming doses. They are just making our human body aware about such kind of antigen exist. So slowly it creates, we can say, antibody producing cells. But we know that after 3 months, 4 months, they are reducing, right? So this is what the writers are saying. We need to have booster dose after 6 months or 1 year, so as to have long lasting immunity against this. Now basics about the immune system. There are two types of immune system in human body. One is innate and second is adaptive. This is basic. You should be aware about this. basic question can be asked. In innate immune system, what happens is any foreign body, when it enters into human body, immediately the defense mechanism kick starts. This is innate, we can say, immune system. There are antibody producing, we can say, cells that are created, and we can say white blood cells. They are immediately, we can say, recognizing the foreign body entering into human body and tries to kill it. So this is innate. Immediately starts its work, while adaptive immune system starts working after 7 to 8 days. Okay, so once the foreign body enters, like vaccine or bacteria, so after 7 to 8 days it starts working, and we can say adaptive immune system includes both antibodies producing cells as well as memory T cells. Memory T cells. Now what are memory T cells? You know, whenever suppose any virus or bacteria entered in human body, and suppose our human body dealt with that virus earlier in the past. So after dealing with that virus successfully, some of the cells, some of the T cells, we can say they are part of our defense mechanism or immune system. These T cells become the memory T cells, and they remember that such kind of enemy existed and that enemy entered earlier in human body, and they kickstart the immune system. They kickstart the immune system once the same kind of enemy enters into human body. This is called as the adaptive immune system or memory T cell, how they work. Okay, so this is how the importance of long lasting immunity will be gained when T cell immunity is achieved. Now again, why it is important that in COVID-19 T cell immunity is also bypassed? Because this virus is evolving continuously. The virus is evolving continuously, and that's why it is becoming problem to gain the T cell immunity, because the memory T cells needs to recognize that virus, and virus is continuously changing its structure through evolution. So this is becoming the problem. Okay, so we need to kickstart this T cell immunity before the evolution of virus itself, and then we can say that further long term immunity to such viruses are achieved here. Now after understanding this, so we have also understood why do we need to go for booster dose. First of all, you should understand that at present we are receiving priming doses. Okay, so whatever 2 to 3 priming doses that we are receiving, so those are priming doses, and there, let's say the immunity because of these priming doses wanes after 3 to 4 months. Antibodies producing cells are reduced after 3 to 4 months, and therefore to gain the long term immunity we need to have that booster dose. At the same time, the vulnerable population, that is those who are having, let's say, aged people and comorbidities. So for those people, further, let's say the vulnerability is increased. So even after giving the priming doses, they need to be given first the booster doses, so as to protect them against severe disease. Now the current COVID-19 vaccination schedules are only priming doses. We know about that, and therefore the companies like Pfizer in US has applied for approval of booster dose. At the same time, Israel is also going to start giving booster doses to those above 60 years of age. Okay, so this is how already the start of giving booster doses started here. What should be our strategy ahead? So for India, what should be strategy in future? We can understand that at present we have some kind of dilemma. First of all, whether to give priming doses to all or start simultaneously giving booster doses, because there is already, we can say that, low level of supply of vaccines in the country. So this is the dilemma, and what we can do through the meticulous planning at present up to, let's say, year end, all the people can be covered with the priming doses, and later on immediately after 6 months or automatically the people may have got the distance between priming doses and booster doses of 6 months to 1 year, when after, let's say, at the start of next year we can start giving the booster doses to, first of all, aged people and those having comorbidities. The same kind of pattern can be again repeated for booster doses. So this is how we need to plan ahead here. Simultaneously giving booster doses may not be successful because of lack of supply of sufficient number of vaccines at present. So the government needs to procure these vaccines from the companies continuously at larger scale without considering the cost, and focus should be on giving all the priming doses to all and then booster doses to all. Fine? Any question? Have you understood the concept? Okay, so this is going to gain more traction now in future. Okay.
Based on this article, at least we need to take the vaccine capacity in our body at least more than 1 year.
At least, first of all, we need to get these priming doses. Okay, and then after 6 months to 1 year time period, we can get the booster dose. Okay, so automatically by the year end, if suppose we are going to complete the vaccination for priming doses, then we can start with the booster doses next year. Yes. Okay. Moving on to next article, it is talking about safe at school. Yes. What is this? The context here is reopening of schools in India. We can understand that the children in last 1.5 years had suffered a large, especially in terms of learning loss. Okay, and therefore we have recognized this, and cautiously we want to start reopen the schools here. Okay, learning loss, at the same time we can understand that there is impact on physical as well as mental growth, mental development. Okay, at the same time the skill development among the children all has taken a back here. The setback is there in terms of all these three: physical development, mental development, skill development, and overall learning loss that happened because of closure of schools. Then the decision by 14 states and union territories to reopen the school in recent times, for example Lakshadweep and Puducherry in terms of union territories, other states already, Haryana, now the Punjab government and other states, especially in southern states also, they want to open the schools. Now we have to understand that the school opening at present is restricted to 10th and 12th standard students, and later on maybe after their successful continuation for 1 or 2 months, other classes will be also reopened here. Now the case study of schools in US, let us understand that what is the lesson that we can learn from that case study. One survey was done among the school children in US after reopening of schools, and it shows that when the compulsory universal masking, this principle is implemented, there is less number of infections. So what we need to focus in India is universal masking, or we can say that the COVID appropriate behavior, both from teachers, school staff as well as children. This is very important. At the same time, there is risk like impact of Delta variant on children. We know that the children are to some extent not having severe COVID-19 disease even after getting infection, but this Delta variant is infecting the children. At the same time, in some of the children, the severe disease was also observed. So this risk we need to consider. Earlier there was no problem before Delta variant, but this Delta variant is becoming the problem. So for that purpose, we need to have protective we can say measures in place. So as a way forward, what we can focus in way forward? First of all, we can say universal mask, hand hygiene and social distancing norms. Social physical distancing norms should be implemented. Need to verify that appropriate ventilation in the classroom simultaneously. This has, let's say, substantial effect on reducing number of infection. Appropriate ventilation. The third thing is that all teachers and staff needs to be vaccinated. There is need of decentralized approach in opening the schools. For example, in Maharashtra, there are committees established under the head of, let's say, the district collectors are being the head and other officers of civil administration, part of these committees. They are observing the positivity rate in the district, number of infections, and suppose there are the infections less than the optimum level, then we can say reopening of the schools is allowed with basic protective measures in place. So such decentralized approach is required, right? So at the same time, at last you can say a manual needs to be created about all the guidelines for staff, children as well as parents, what kind of behavior needs to be followed. So this is a way forward you can mention in dealing with the risk and challenges in reopening of the schools. Okay? Yes, any question?
Sir, recently today news has been declared in Bangalore, sir, the more than 200 plus people only children have been infected due to those people have been mixed with single place, sir. Only children, school children have been infected 200 plus today news. Then how we can able to manage that in apartments and some of the some large colonies, sir? How we can able to manage on that particular area?
Yes, the problem is that the local outburst of these infections can happen. Okay, and we need to contain such kind of local outbursts. Okay, so whenever such kind of sudden increase in number of cases happen, immediate measures by the civil administration needs to be taken. Okay, like isolation zone or that complete zone needs to be sealed for at least 10 to 15 days. So the school, if it is the school in that area, then it should be shut down completely for that many number of days. The isolation, okay, testing, isolation is very important measures that should be in place in the schools also. Okay, so suppose the child is having some kind of symptoms, immediate testing should be there and isolation. Okay, at the same time in rural areas, the open schooling should be promoted. Okay, open schooling means in open areas, not in the closed classrooms. So in rural areas, sufficient, let's say, area is available. Suppose there is a shade is created, or under the shade of tree also the schooling can happen. The children are sitting at the farther distances away from each other. There is very good initiative in Chhattisgarh, loudspeaker schools. Okay, the teachers are moving on the two-wheeler from school to school and they are taking lessons on the loudspeaker, and the children are sitting far away from each other. So such kind of measures you can mention in your answers also, innovative measures. Surely that is not going to result into transmission of these infections. Okay? Yes, fine. Moving on to next article. Yes, this article on page number 7, it talks about an urban job safety net, need of national urban livelihood scheme similar to MG Naregas. Okay, so this particular article, it talks about the impact of pandemic on 3 aspects of economy: GDP growth, employment, poverty, especially at world level as well as in India. First of all, some data is given in that article, and then the need of having such urban unemployment, we can say that, or livelihood scheme. First of all, we'll talk about those facts, data. Yesterday also we have seen that data. First about GDP. So global GDP contracted by 3.3%. Okay, second thing you should understand here is that even in India, GDP growth around, we can say 8%, decline by 8%. Third thing, the increase in poverty, around 95 million people fell below poverty. Okay, at the same time, when we are talking about unemployment, at world level, around 75 million people lost their jobs in last 1 year. These facts can be mentioned in your answer. Impact of pandemic. Understanding the rural urban livelihood divide. First of all, we know that there was reverse migration happened after first wave, immediately after the lockdown time period. And why the major aspect is that in urban areas there was no support of any kind of livelihood measures. Okay, so these people, we can say that those working in unorganized sector, not having any kind of social safety, we can say net, so they went back to the rural areas, and in rural areas MG Narega was there. This scheme provides for unemployment allowance even if manual labor is not available. Okay, unemployment allowance ensures that on daily basis these people are receiving some income, and that also ensures that they are not going hungry into the bed. Okay, so this is the aspect, and that's why those poor people living in urban areas, they are not having such kind of support. Okay, so this is the urban rural livelihood divide at present we are having. Now the writer is giving case study of Himachal Pradesh. One such urban scheme is implemented at state level, Mukhyamantri Shahari Ajivika Guarantee Yojana. Under this scheme, what they are providing is for 120 days in a year guaranteed employment for manual unskilled work. Okay, so on the same line of MG Narega, in MG Narega 100 days is there, here 120 days is there, and unemployment allowance of rupees 75 per day. 75 per day. Okay, so this ensures that these people are receiving bare minimum income for at least 2 meals per day. Okay, so this is also very important aspect for income livelihood and livelihood support and income support in urban areas. So what inputs we can take from this scheme? Before that, you should understand that at present there is livelihood scheme in urban areas at present, but that focuses on promoting self-help groups or self-employment, that promotes only self-employment, not employment by the government. It also talks about credit support for such self-employment. But we know that during pandemic time, automatically the economic contraction happened, closure of all economic activities. So what is need of that self-employment here? So this was not successful ensuring the social safety net for urban poor, and therefore on the lines of this such a state level scheme, there should be national level scheme. So what we can take input for national level scheme, such kind of design and implementation? Yes, first thing we should understand that national level scheme can be implemented either by wholly center or center state sharing the finances of the scheme. Okay, so it can be implemented in either, we can say that the fiscal space of central government, or center state can share the finances. Second thing we can understand that in urban areas, service sector is very important. So in rural areas, whatever the asset creation focus is there on MGNREGA. Okay, MGNREGA focuses on sustainable long-term asset creation, physical asset creation. However, in urban areas, the focus should be on providing municipal services, including, we can say, sanitation services that are there in Himachal Pradesh scheme. Okay, so ensuring quality municipal services can be focused in that particular scheme instead of focus always on asset creation. Okay, so this input can be taken. And third thing we can say that the focus of this particular scheme in terms of design, so the inclusion aspect should be understood here. Inclusion, that means the urban poor people, so those living in the slum areas or those migrated to the urban areas, all of them should get enrolled under such kind of scheme. Okay, they should not have the exclusion of any particular poor people. All people should receive the benefits of that scheme here. Okay, so this will ensure the social safety net to urban poor. Social safety net to urban poor. This is very important. We are surely expecting this question either in GS2 paper, polity part, or those who are having public administration optional, paper 2. Okay, governance aspect, again social justice and governance aspect in GS2 paper, very important. Now what kind of question we can expect? Discuss the need of national urban livelihood scheme similar to MGNREGAs in rural areas. What could be the different approach in design and implementation of such scheme compared to MGNREGAs? Design and implementation is very important aspect of GS2 paper. Okay, governance and social justice part. So we can expect such kind of question, design and implementation. Add these three aspects whenever we are talking about design and implementation. Okay, so these are different from MGNREGAs. Fine? Okay, yes. Now moving on to next article. Back channel talk was on before Balakot. Okay, so actually very, let's say, shocking revelations are done in that particular book, and we don't know what will happen in future. Okay, there will be a protest regarding this against the government surely, because we can understand that. First of all, let us understand what happened here. NSA chief and the research and analysis wing exchanged messages with Pakistani ISI officials as a part of unique back channel connection between the two countries that involved two foreign journalists. These two names are given, and now these journalists have written a book, and in that book all things are revealed. So in public domain this information was not there. For example, let me give you example here, that NSA disbelieved ISI claims that it was not responsible for Pulwama attack and launched the Balakot strikes to punish the Pakistan military. these journalists in this book revealed that the plan of Pulwama attack was designed in Afghanistan and not in Pakistan by the terrorist. Okay, so despite of knowing this, Indian intelligence knew that fact but still carried out Balakot strikes. So this is a very let's say important information now has come into public domain. Let us see in future what government has to say about this. But other facts, like for example, Kulbhushan Jadhav was an asset and not an officer, didn't have training in intelligence. This is also very stark fact, because we know that we claim he was the we can say that he belonged to intelligence agencies, former naval officer. ISI set a trap for Jadhav, lured him to Pakistan. At the same time, corrupt police officials helped Jaish terrorist attack on Pathankot air base. This was also not revealed. Okay, this information was also not revealed. Corrupt officials of the government itself, they gave some kind of, we can say, or helped these terrorists to carry out Pathankot attack. Okay, so this information is revealed in this book by the journalists. Okay, we'll have follow up on this, what happens, what the government stand is there, but you should be aware about such developments in terms of we can say international relations, India-Pakistan relations. Okay. Now, one of the unfortunate event, we can say that again the landslide happened in Kinnaur district of Himachal Pradesh, and we need to understand a similar kind of landslide happened in a few days back also in the same district. Okay, so we have learned about this in ED lecture recently, editorial discussion lecture, that why landslides are common in Himalayas. We had gave 3 reasons already in UPSC mains examination in 2013. Such kind of question was already asked. Okay, why more landslides are there in Himalayan region as compared to Western Ghats? At the same time in 2016 or 17 also landslide related question was there in Himalayas. So yes, first thing we know that it is still tectonically active. At the same time, the loose sediments, Himalayas are made up of unconsolidated loose sediments, easy for landslide along the slope under the influence of gravity. Then we can also say that steep slopes, high altitudes, this is also reason. And we can say that perennial streams flowing through that region. So this aid landslides. This aids landslide. Okay, so we can say that comparatively in Western Ghats, the rainfall is only in 4 months of monsoon time period. At the same time, comparatively low altitudes and somehow gentler slope as compared to steep slopes of Himalayas. Okay, and not loose sediments are there in Western Ghats, because this is igneous rocks are there in Western Ghats. Okay, so solidification of lava, flood basalt province, we know about this. At the same time, the tectonically they are very much stable. Western Ghats are very much stable tectonically as compared to Himalayas. So yes, at the same time, human intervention in Himalayas in terms of construction activities, hydropower projects, tourism, so all these aspects are resulting into more and more landslides in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand specifically. Okay, so reasons you should remember. Such kind of basic question can be again asked in GS 1 paper, geography part. Okay, yes.
So near the top of the green areas is going to be continuously sliding up or inside of the earth. Due to that is a reason to landsliding will be occurring near the surrounding of high degree areas.
in high hilly areas already, basically you should understand that Himalayas are made up of sediments or unconsolidated loosely attached sediments. Okay, at the same time there is steep slopes, and what we are doing, we are carving out these slopes continuously for building roads, or we can say building hydropower projects. This is acting as a pressure. We are changing the landscape. Use these words in your answer. Changing the landscape. This is having some kind of impact on the sediments that are there along the slopes. And further rainfall or intensive rainfall, such kind of episodes are acting as an aid. It is helping further to bring down these sediments along the slope. So that's why we are witnessing more and more landslides there. Okay. So both natural as well as man-made factors. Now, yes, Kaziranga guards get satellite phones. So these phones will be used by the forest personnel. So to chase the poachers or anti-poaching activities, also during the emergencies like floods during monsoon time period. You should be also aware that satellite phones, their use is not allowed by the common persons in India. Common knowledge. Now, about the protected areas of Assam, this is very important. There are two biosphere reserves in Assam, Manas Biosphere Reserve and Dibru-Shikowa Biosphere Reserve. Manas Biosphere Reserve and Dibru-Shikowa. We'll see the locations. Now, tiger reserves in Assam, Manas Tiger Reserve, Nameri, Orang, Kaziranga. 4 tiger reserves are there, and these 4 tiger reserves are also national parks. You can see here Kaziranga, Manas, Nameri, Orang, and at the same time Dibru-Shikowa is also national park. So Dibru-Shikowa is national park as well as biosphere reserve, while remaining are tiger reserves as well as national parks. So what is important for us is finding these national parks, their locations. So whenever you need to find the authenticated data of the government regarding national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, refer to this website wiinvis.org or .nic.in, sorry. Okay. Do not refer to Wikipedia or other things. That is not updated facts. Okay, updated facts should be learned from this, as well as such kind of maps are given for protected areas of each and every state. Okay, so this is very important. Now look at the locations. First you can see here Dibru-Shikowa, easternmost national park, Dibru-Shikowa. Fine. Then there is Kaziranga located here, Kaziranga National Park. Then east of that we have here 4th number Nameri Tiger Reserve. So Nameri Tiger Reserve is also there and national park is also there. Then we have 5th one here, Orang National Park. Here Orang National Park. And then we have 3rd one here, Manas National Park. Manas National Park. So these are the 5 national parks. At the same time, these are 4 tiger reserves also. Kaziranga, then we have Nameri, then we have Orang, and then Manas. Other are wildlife sanctuaries. That is not important. Okay, that is not that much important, but you can see that a huge number of protected areas are there in Assam. Okay, and most of the important are located along the Brahmaputra basin. Brahmaputra basin. Fine. So innovative kind of question that can be asked. Such question is not asked yet, but UPSC may go further one step ahead. What should be answer to this question? B. C. Okay, so the answer is, from east to west we want to find out. So from east to west we have seen that first one is Dibrushiko, then we have Kaziranga, then we have Nameri, then Orang, and then Manas. So what should be the answer here? First Dibrushiko, then we have Kaziranga, then we have Nameri, and then Manas. So answer should be B here, second option. Okay, such question is not asked yet, but wherever more number of protected areas are there, we can expect such question. Okay, north to south, or we can say that east to west. Okay, so state wise try to prepare protected areas. Any question?
Sir, I think maybe last 2 months or 3 months, the flood has been occurred on that June box now, sir. Some of the animals have been far away from that forest area. Then how we can able to tackle that type of situations in future, sir? Any floods have been entered into national park. How we can able to protect that type of animals from that particular area?
See, annual flooding phenomenon is very common in Brahmaputra. Okay, so this Kaziranga National Park remains underwater for some period of time during monsoon time period. Okay, what happens is naturally the animals have adapted to this phenomenon, and these animals move towards the higher reaches. They migrate towards the higher reaches, either towards the southern slopes, or we can say that towards Meghalaya hills, that slope, or towards north. Okay, so this is actually adopted by the animals. So one-horned rhinoceros, they migrate towards this, or we can say higher we can say lands in that region, not low-lying lands. Many animals die during the annual flooding phenomenon, but what we are doing, these forest officers try to protect them as much as possible, and the problem is lack of connectivity, communication. So telephonic communication is not possible because towers are not there, communication is not happening. So that's why the satellite phones will help them for communication. Okay then. So let us stop. We will meet tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.